Hi everyone, welcome to my explanation video. In this video, I will explain the creativity, environment design, animation, timeline usage, sound design, post-processing, and game design principles behind my game environment. This environment is a part of a para-themed tropical island, designed as a large open map. The focus is on exploration, vertical movement, atmosphere, and visual contrast. I will first talk about the inspiration and overall structure. Then, I will explain the mountain design, the creative twist in the middle, animation, water, timeline presentation, post-processing, song, and finally, the game design ideas. The main inspiration for the environment comes from Black Myth Wukong. In this game, there is a mini-boss called Wet Clothes Scholar, who is hidden inside a mountain valley. In Black Myth Wukong, the player already reaches the mountain top in a previous level, so going down into the valley feels very natural.
大家好，这是一起无脑暴打白衣居士，不打。教大家怎么在新手阶段破掉这个2阶段 BOSS， 然后走下这个楼梯，然后搁这儿继续边骑边跑。这个行者道是奔跑每秒是增加伤害的，所以一直跑到底，把这个打倒。
However, in my project, I only have one large open map, not separate levels. So I needed to design a convincing way for the player to climb up the mountain first, before going down into the valley. This is where I started combining game inspirations with the real-world references. For the mountain climbing part, my main reference is the Zhangjiajie in China. One important feature of Zhangjiajie is that, from the mountain base, you can clearly see the mountain peak. There is usually a long stair path that connects the bottom to the top. I used a similar idea here. From the start of the level, the player can see the mountain peak and the stair leading up. This gives the player a clearer goal and a strong direction. At the same time, since there is a para-themed island, the stairs also suggest that this place was explored or built by people before, not just a natural mountain. So one of the most creative parts of the environment is the connection between the climbing up and climbing down. As you can see here, we can climbing up through the stairs. But instead of going directly up and then directly down, I add a very narrow passage in the middle of this level. So in this passage, most of the player's view is blocked. The space feels really tight and closed. The idea actually comes from one of the Chinese famous line in literature, which is, at first, the path is very narrow, but after walking a few steps, the space suddenly opens up. So when the player walking through this narrow gap and comes out, they suddenly see the downhill path and also the water-filled valley here. The strong contrasts create a visual twist and make the environment more memorable. To present this environment clearly, I use Unity Timeline to create a cinematic camera sequence. Instead of using one camera, I use multiple cameras in the timeline. Each camera of them will move in a linear way, following the path that players are likely to take during the gameplay. So the camera moves step by step, showing the climbing path, and then to the narrow path. And later, downhill to the valley. So at the end, I also added a top-down camera shot like this. So the final shot gave a clear overview of the whole environment and shows how the mountain, passage, and valley are connected. Timeline helps me explain the level design in a clear and cinematic way, while still respecting real player movement. So for animation, I mainly use the building animations from my environment assets. As you can see here, grass, trees, all these vegetations, they all have looped animations that play during gameplay. These animations are subtle, but they help make the environment feel alive and natural instead of static. Even small movements like this can greatly improve the realism, especially in a jungle environment. Water is a very important part of the whole scene. I use a plugin called RAM which allows me to create rivers, lakes, and waterfall very easy. Basically what you need to do is just to create a new 3D object, and then you select the river spline. And here, you just need to press Ctrl and then click on the position that you want to have the river. And then in the water prefill, you can choose the river that you want. Also, this river, every pond inside can be moved, resize, and rotate. They also have a very powerful feature which is automatically calculate the height difference. As you can see here, if I move more down, they will float faster, but if I keep it on the same level, they will move not that fast. Based on that, they adjust the water shader shows a different flow speed. This is especially important for the waterfall, where the water movement needs to look strong and natural. Using this system saves a lot of time and makes the water look much more realistic. For lightning, I choose to bake the light to keep the performance stable and visual consistent. As you can see, all of the light there are actually baked light, not real-time lightning. In post-processing, I also add a bloom so that the point lights have the soft glow effect. I also use this ACES tone mapping, which gives the scene a darker and more cinematic look. Because the whole environment contains a lot of water, I place multiple reflection pops around the scene. This allows the water surface to reflect their surroundings correctly instead of using a global reflection. As you can see, they're reflecting. Sounds play a big role in immersion. The background music comes from Sky, Children of Light, using their Rainforest soundtrack. It creates a calm and peaceful atmosphere. Also, I added a looping bird songs to represent the jungle environment. Most importantly, I added 3D audios to all of the water elements. This means the closer the player to the water, the louder the sound becomes, just like in real life. This makes the environment feel more realistic and special. From a game design perspective, the environment focuses on several key ideas. First, it includes a strong visual twist as I showed before, using a narrow and open space to surprise the player. Second, the environment is visually rich and attractive, encouraging exploration. Finally, at the beginning of this level here, it is actually branching paths instead of only one main route. You can also go to explore here. This gives players a sense of choices and makes the world feel more open and natural. To conclude, this environment combines cinematic inspiration real-world references, creative level design, animation, water system, timeline presentation, post-processing, sound design, and core game design principles. The goal is to create an immersive environment that feels alive, meaningful, and enjoyable to explore. Also, it fits our theme. So thank you so much for watching.